Welcome back, and today we're going to learn how to bake your gingerbread house. So we assume by now that you all have cut out your template and you're ready to go. I have below here ours that's already been baked, and today, later on, we're going to start putting it together. But this is what yours will look like after you bake it. So to start your gingerbread house, you can make the dough, and you can use any gingerbread recipe that you would like. But the important thing is don't add baking soda or baking powder, because that will make it rise and it won't be even. We have posted on the website the recipe I use, and depending on the size of the house, you may want to double it or triple it. For our big house, we have to triple it. For the little house I showed you, you'll just use one batch. So basically, after you make your gingerbread house and get all mixed together, put it in the refrigerator for only about 10 or 15 minutes. I know a lot of recipes will say put it in for 3 hours, but don't do that. That makes it too hard and too rough to roll out. So what you're going to want to do, just put it in about 10 minutes, get out your rolling pin, and if you want to put something, I usually use a cloth that I roll it out on, and I flour that real well, and I flour my rolling pin. So I will, the recipe calls for putting it into balls. I'll take out one of the balls, and I will sort of dust it with a little bit of flour, and then I'll roll it out. When I roll it out, then I start with the template, and I put it on the rolled out dough, just like you would pie crust, and I put it on, and we're going to go, and then you cut it out, and you don't drag your knife when you're cutting it out, because that will make it lopsided. But leave this here, and as I told you before, we use the roof to transfer it. So when we're assuming there's dough underneath there, and we just put it underneath, and then we transfer it to the baking dish. Once it's on the baking dish, then we will cut out the doors and the windows, save those, cut those like in half, and that will be your shutters. So remember to save the cutout part and make shutters out of this dough. So once you have all your pieces cut out, you bake it for about, I found 10 minutes is about perfect. It makes it hard enough, but not too hard. So bake it at 375 for about 10 minutes. And the other trick is really let it cool. I leave it on the baking pan for about 10 or 15 minutes before I transfer it to one of these sheets, so that it doesn't bend and fall apart because it's still too warm. So once it sort of feels cool to the touch, you can go ahead and transfer it to one of these cooling racks. The other thing I do before we quit on this part is...
How long do you leave it on the cooling rack for?
I leave it on the cooling rack probably overnight or the next day, just so it gets really dry, so that when you start gluing it together, it doesn't, have any moisture that makes it fold or bend or something like that.
You want it to be nice and hard, not like a normal cookie that you would eat. Yes. Like a cookie that accidentally got left out after a party.
Yeah, see, this is pretty hard. The one thing I do while it's on the cooking rack is I glue on with our powdered sugar and water. That's all it takes. Make sure that's sort of thick, and I put on the shutters so that they're already on before I glue it together. That way, they're nice and firm. You don't worry about them sliding down. So all the shutters I put on while it's just resting here on the cooling rack. So that's it, and our next step at our next session will be starting to use the cement and put the house together. See you then.
Good
Thanks for watching.